For today's project, I'm going to show you how to add infusible ink and HTV to these little cosmetic bags. You can use them for your travels, put them inside of a tote bag, take them with you, but I'm going to go ahead and show you how you can add infusible ink like I did on this one. And then I added glitter HTV on top of that. And this one here is strictly all HTV. For the infusible ink, you do need bags that are polyester, like made for sublimation. This one is from Cricut, is actually an infusible ink compatible bag. So anything that is a high polyester count, because you have the infusible ink, which is technically just sublimation, so we're going to need that to help your design pop better. So for this project, we are going to use, I'm using my Cricut Explorer Air 2. I have a lint roller to roll my bags to make sure that there is no debris left on the bag. I'm going to be using a heat source, which I'm using a Cricut Easy Press. I have a heat pressing mat. I've got some butcher paper to cover up my infusible ink. This is the infusible ink I'm using. Glitter HTV. I have a standard grip mat. My weeding tools, brayer. You need heat tape for your infusible ink. Piece of cardstock to go inside of your bag so that your ink does not bleed through. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually measure my bag. And that's how I'm going to determine how big I want my design to go on my project. And from this bag here, I already know because I've already made one. This is, we're going to make it about 9 inches wide by about 6.25 high. I'm just going to go ahead and bring that into Design Space as a guide so that I know how big I want my design. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started, and I'll show you how to make these cute little bags. Okay, so here we are inside of Design Space. I just wanted to point out that this is the way that your SVG is going to land on your screen, but the rest of the video, we will follow the same steps that you see on the screen. This background here, let's go ahead and ungroup this. This is the background that I'm going to use. You can use this with your infusible ink, or you can just delete it if you don't want to use the infusible ink background. You can just use HTV for this project, but it's up to you. But I wanted to show you, if you unlock this, you can manipulate this to look any way you want. You can make it smaller, you can make it longer, but this one here, I'm going to go ahead and I locked it now so that when you make it bigger or smaller, it's going to stay the same proportion. So I'm going to do this design today, and I'm going to do this one. So I'm going to go ahead and hide both of these. Hide this one, and I'm going to hide this one for right now and just work on this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and bring in a shape. This is going to represent the size of my bag. So I'm going to ungroup or unlock this. So now I'm going to change these to, I'm going to do 9 inches wide by 6.25. And all I did was measure the bag that I have. 6.25. There we go. So that I can know where to put my design. So whatever size tote bag or cosmetic bag or whatever it is that you're using, you want to measure that first. So I'm going to go ahead and change this to a guide so that I can see through it here. I'm going to go back and lock this. And now, this is what I'm going to have as my infusible ink. I'm going to put this right in the center here. And I'm going to bring this to the front, just so it's easier to work with. There we go. Move this all over here. And I send that to the back, so I'm not grabbing it all the time. Okay, so now I want to take my background, depending on where you want it on your design. And I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. And I'm going to ungroup this. So what I want to do is I want to take Might Be on both of these, and I'm going to actually slice it out of the back of my infusible ink. So I'm actually going to flip this. And the reason I want to flip it is because I want it to be able to show through. And if you can see here, it's kind of overlapping where this hole is here, and I don't want that. So my background, I'm going to flip it, and then I'm going to actually flip it again. But you can do with it whatever you want. If you want to leave it the way that it was, you can. But I just like this look a little bit better. And then the HTV is going to be on top of that infusible ink. So this part right here doesn't really matter. I'm more concerned right now with the words because, like I said, I'm going to slice those out. So this black, and I'm going to hit my shift button and grab the second piece of black, and I'm just going to go ahead and attach those because I want those to cut out together. But for right now, I just want to hide that. And then these two, I actually am going to attach those, they're going to change to the same color, because before I had them, you can see that they're all individual letters. But I want these to be the same. Actually, I'm gonna unite them because I want to slice that out of my background. So now if I grab the background and the words, and make sure I got them both here, this and this, and come down and click slice. And now those are sliced out. So now you can click on that and delete it, and click on this and delete it. So now when we bring that to the front, that's what it's going to look like. So this is going to be sliced out of the Infusible ink, and then you have your HGV, whatever color it is that you decide to use. So I'm going to go ahead and grab both of these, because when you're using Infusible ink and HGV, you need to mirror your design. Meaning when you come over here to make it, let's go ahead and save this. So when you come over here to make this, it's going to tell you that you need to mirror this because, like I said, we're going to be using HGV and Infusible ink, so they need to be mirrored, which would be, you click on your little buttons right here. Okay. But if you don't want to do that, you can actually just grab all of this and come up here and flip it. Now it's already flipped. You don't have to worry about mirroring it because it already is. So then we're going to go and we're going to come over here. Make sure you have the correct machine using whatever machine that you're going to use. Make sure you have that selected first. So whether you're using your Maker, your Explorer, your Joy Extra, I'm going to be using my Cricut Explorer. So you click Make It. And now you can see that they are both already flipped, so we don't need to mirror it. It's going to be cut on Infusible ink. And I'm using my Explorer Air, so on my machine, I have a dial that says Custom. So I have it set to Custom on my machine. Then I'm going to select my material, and for this, Infusible ink transfer sheet is what I'm going to be using, and I just got that by coming up here and typing in Infusible ink. So that's what I'm going to use. Leave my default pressure the same. I'm going to go ahead and cut that and then cut out my glitter, and we will get it all assembled. Okay, we're going to go ahead and cut our Infusible ink. Now remember that the shiny side needs to go down, so when you're cutting Infusible ink, your color is actually going to be up. Go ahead and place this on my mat. My Cricut Explorer is on the custom dial. If you can see this here. So depending on what machine that you're using, like I said, mine is set to custom, so this is going to be for the Infusible ink transfer sheet. So let's go ahead and get this cut. So before I load my next mat, I'm going to go ahead and get my heat press warming up. So I'm going to take this from here, and I'm going to turn this on, and my temperature for my Infusible ink is 385 for 40 seconds. So I'm going to let that warm up and then go ahead and cut my glitter vinyl. Okay, HGV, shiny side down. And load this and get this one cut. Close this, turn that off, and move that out of the way. For your Infusible ink, it weeds a little bit different, a lot different actually, than regular vinyl. You just want to crack this all the way around, and then you're going to rip off the extra pieces. You can see, if you can see how it cracks like that, and we're just going to rip that off. Okay, you want to go slow when you're taking your letters out of there, because the inside part of the bee needs to stay down. So go slow when you pick that up. Make sure that those little pieces are staying inside. Okay, got that one all weeded. First question people always ask about if they've used glitter vinyl, if you've never used it before. This, the HTV, there's little pieces that are left over on the carrier sheet. This will not transfer to your design, so don't worry. So weeding glitter vinyl can be kind of difficult. So one thing I like to do is I always take a picture of my design and I'll put it in front of me. So that way I know which pieces I need to weed out. It's kind of hard to see sometimes. Just like with the Infusible ink, if you bend it, it'll pop up a little, and it makes it easier to weed. Okay, get that all weeded. Alright, so now I want to bring my heat pad over and put my design on here. Figure out which way I want it, if I want the zipper to be this way or this way. I think I like it this way. Oh, I need to leave that open because we're going to put a piece of cardstock inside there. And I'm actually just going to cut it down. And what this is going to do is it's to help, so if any of the ink bleeds through, it won't go through to the other side. It'll go to your piece of cardstock. And it's going to go in there. And then I want to use my lint roller and make sure there's no particles on here. Okay. And now when you go to put your Infusible ink on, your carrier sheet is sticky. That's what's going to go down. So your colors are going to go down. So just make sure that you don't have this upside down. So right now it's upside down, and ask me how I know. This one I did yesterday, and it's upside down. So, like I said, ask me how I know. So this is going to be this way. So that when I take it off, it'll be the right way up. Okay, so figure where you want to put it. Make sure it looks good to you. I think it can come over just a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to use my heat tape to help hold it down. Okay, and then on top of that I'm going to put my butcher paper. Now the butcher paper is so that your ink does not get on your press. Okay. Now this calls for 40 seconds, so I'm going to put my easy press on top of this. Make sure that it's on there completely. Okay, and push a little bit. Okay. And I'm going to pull this off. And be careful, this is very hot. So now we need to put our HTV on, and I need to change the temperature on my heat press. So my glitter HTV, the manufacturer calls for 320. So I need to take my temperature down to 320 for 10 to 15 seconds. So we're going to do 15. Now we need to let that cool down. So this does take a little while, so we'll let that cool down and we'll come back and we'll finish it. Alright, our Easy Press has cooled down. It does take a little while, so if you have one of these, just keep that in mind that it does take a while for it to cool down. So now I'm going to go ahead and put on my HTV. This is the HTV glitter vinyl that I cut. I also cut out a piece of, this is like an electric rose gold. Can't really decide which one I want to do. So I think either one would look okay, but I think because I already said I was going to do glitter, let's go ahead and commit to the glitter. Are you like me? Do you guys second guess yourself through everything when you're crafting? So this I'm going to set right on top of here. You don't really need heat tape for this, but if you feel like you want to put some on, you can. Just make sure that it's lined up correctly. Okay, good enough. Okay, so what I'm going to do for this, I left my cardstock inside of there. I am going to put my butcher paper on top again, only because I don't want any of this ink to get on my heat press. So I'm going to put that on there. There is no ink on here from the last time I pressed. You always want to make sure when you're doing sublimation or any kind of infusible ink to make sure that no ink transfers to your paper. So there is none on here, so it's good to go. So I'm going to put that there, and I'm also going to put a piece of Teflon sheet on top of it. You probably don't need this, but I've always been told when you do HTV to use a Teflon sheet, so I guess it's a bit of overkill, but that's what I'm going to do. So let's go ahead and press this on. Make sure that you are lined up. And you want to give it some firm pressure. You don't want to go back and forth, you just want to do firm pressure. Okay, let's see how that looks, see if we need to give it some more. Pull it up slow, so if you have to go back down, you can. Okay, I think that turned out good. All right. So there's our first bag. All right. Careful, your zippers might be hot from using your press. And then I just have this cute little key-ring. I'm just going to put that right on there. But that's the first one, so let's go ahead and get the second one done. Okay, our first project is done. I'm going to go ahead and just group this and hide it and bring our second one back. This is the one we're going to do. So again, I'm going to bring in a shape, and I'm going to resize this one to the bag that we're going to be using. This bag's a little bit bigger. So this one we're going to do 9.25 by 7.75. Okay, and again, I'm going to go ahead and lock this, and I'm going to change this to a cut, or to a guide, I should say. And I'm going to send this to the back. Now this one I'm not using any infusible ink. This is going to be all HTV. I'm going to make this one a little bit bigger on here. Okay. So for the black, you go ahead and look on here. This black and this black are separate, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to attach those so that they cut together. So attach. Oops, I guess I need to ungroup it first. So let me go ahead and right click and ungroup. There we go. This one, and now attach. So that will now cut together. For these colors right here, let me send this to the back. Let me just go ahead and pull this up front here. Makes it easier to grab. You can look on here and see that these are all individual colors. So what I'm going to do, except for the S and this little dash right here, which those are the same, I'm going to go ahead and ungroup this. Well, actually, it won't even matter. If you come over here to make it, you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. All the colors are all individual. Okay? And that's how I'm going to cut them. I'm going to cut them individual colors. But if you followed me for a while, you know that I like to combine as many elements as I can on one mat. So I need to remember that when I have my mat down, that this color is this coral color or orange, whatever color you want to call it. And then this one, I'm going to move over. I need to remember that that one's orange. Move object. I'm going to come to here, and I'm going to put an orange piece on here. And I'm going to follow that through on all of my pieces all the way down until I get as many as I can on one mat. But that's how I like to cut my images. It just saves a lot of time. But first thing I want to do that I forgot to do, because we are using HTV, hide this guide, I don't need it anymore. I want to grab all this and I'm going to flip this because we're using HTV. So let's go up here and save this. Okay, and now I'm going to click make. And then I will go through, like I said, and I'm going to move all of my elements. Okay, so now I have all of these lined up, all my different colors on my mat, and as I'm going through lining up each one, I'm putting them on my mat as I go. Okay, so I've already cut my black, but I wanted to go ahead and show you. This is how I've lined up all my colors. So as I was showing you on the Design Space screen, when I was moving my colors around, I went ahead and put my HTV down as I was doing it so that I remembered where they're supposed to line up. Pay attention to where they're supposed to be. So now I'm going to go ahead and just use my brayer to put them all down. I'll get them all cut, and then we'll get it all assembled. Close this and get this out of the way and turn this off. And I'm going to get my Easy Press warming up again. And 320, manufacturer says for 20 seconds. So let's go ahead and increase this. Oops. And while that's warming up, we'll go ahead and get our vinyl off. Okay, so because I went to the time of picking out the colors that I wanted to make sure that I laid them down in the correct order. And again, I will bring my picture up so I know where everything goes. This is going to go right in here. Got this one backwards. Okay. Bring my pad over again. So here's our bag. Again, you want to get it ready. Make sure that it's flat. Watch your seams. I'm going to go ahead and do a pre-press to get some of the moisture out. Just a little bit, just to get get it flat and get some of that moisture out of there. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to go ahead and do this black first. This will make it a lot easier when we get ready to put all of the other colors on. So again, I have my picture up. Put my Teflon sheet on top of this, and I'm going to go ahead and press this. I'm actually just going to do half the time, just enough to get the vinyl to release. Okay, pull it off slow. Okay, and then remember when you go to put your vinyl on, you don't want any of your carrier sheets to overlap because they will stick together. So you could do one at a time, or if you're confident, you could put more on. I think if I could have this backwards here. This one. Do those two at the same time. Again, you don't want to do the full press. You're just doing it just for a little while to get it to release. And at the very end, we'll do it all together. So since we're not doing it for the full press, be sure to pull up very carefully and very slowly. I'm actually going to trim this down a little bit. And then this one I'm going to push for the full 20 seconds. Turn that off. And there we have our second bag. Go ahead and put a cute little hanger on that if you want to, or you don't have to. The brown one is the only one that I had left, so I might do the brown one. I might not put it on there at all. But there you go. There you go. Now you got a cute little bag to put all your first aid supplies in. If you want to do some band-aids in there, I think that's really cute to stick in your suitcase or in a travel bag. But I'll go ahead and leave the links for all the supply list. I'll go ahead and leave that down there. But there you go, guys. You can find this bundle of travel designs in my shop. I will leave a link for them in the description below here. Thanks so much for being here, guys. I appreciate you. Have a great day.